Welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode 103 for October 23rd, 2017. On today's show, we're going to talk about client communication and how to cover your butt. I'm Jeremy Crawford of the Countryside Workshop, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Sam of Sam Ryan Designs and Drew of Rock-n H Woodshop. And we are also joined by our special guest, Dylan of Woodbrew. What is going on, guys?
Boom!
Hey!
So, it's good to get you on here, Dylan. It's been looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun talking with you guys. And it's a really awesome topic. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah,
all right.
It could get pretty interesting.
Well, before we get headlong into that topic real quick, let's say a hello and thank you to our Patreon supporters, Michael Brindle, Devin Richter, Sean McHenry, Derik, Ledesma, Carl Mose, and Neil Sims. Thank you guys very much for keeping the lights on here at Woodshop 101. If you guys want to help be a supporter of the show, you can head on over to woodshop101podcast.com/listen. Find the show notes for this episode. There you'll find links for small one-time donations and reoccurring donations. And if you want to become a patron of our Patreon campaign, head over to patreon.com/woodshop101. You can buy a Woodshop 101 podcast t-shirt. If you don't want to become a true supporter, this will help it along the way as well. You can also buy Rev Marker Pack markers that we have specially made for the Woodshop 101 podcast. And to get those, you can head over to countrysideworkshop.com/shop for the link. Did that sound too much like a radio voice?
It sounds like you're trying to get them. You're pitching something to them, like you're trying to get them to buy something. So you guys need.
That's what I was going for.
You need to go buy these things.
And if you act now, we'll throw in. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, Sam, you're not super laggy.
You guys are.
Well, then
I've had that problem before.
maybe you should speed up your internet.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Good thing you brought
It
your
is
charger
nice.
this time.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the shop. Dylan, you want to go first? Let us know what you're cooking up over there.
Yeah, sure. So currently, as far as client projects go, since we're going to be talking about that a little bit today, we're actually doing these really cool coffee serving trays for a local coffee shop. So we're using a CNC and we're kind of routing in specific holders for their particular glasses, and then like a little cutout for their spoon that they use, and like little handles, and it's got their logo on it and stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's actually, I'm doing it sort of as a favor or for free coffee, so I guess it's less of a client job. But no, it's just a coffee shop that I spend a lot of my time in. So we're actually going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with them in the near future, including in videos. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, we just released our modern lamp build, which is a really fun build, and actually is probably the fastest thing we've ever made as far as videos go. I think we, minus like the finishing part, we built the whole thing in like 2 hours. So it was really awesome to be able to get like a project ahead, or like I said, we're almost like 2 projects ahead, which is extremely rare for us. So yeah, it's just been busy trying to plan for next year while making sure we stay consistent throughout the rest of the year. We have a really, really awesome project coming up next week that is using a technique where you cut all the way through the plywood. We're using the CNC, and you make a series of grooves, and it makes the plywood be able to bend. And so we're making this really awesome like lounge chair, and the back is all bent, and it's really cool. It turned out way better than expected, and also like right at the base of your back is where all of the grooves are at, and they can move independently, so they almost like conform perfectly to your lower back. It's a really cool chair, so I'm excited about this and hope it does really well, because it's one of my favorite projects I think we've done so far.
That's
and you
really
can
cool.
send that to Moore, Oklahoma when you were done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw you guys do a video, and you guys were bend on your stories or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, what are they cooking up? Because it looked really cool. So I'm excited to see that one.
Hold on, guys. I'm going to show y'all a picture. Is there any way for anyone else to see this? Like, I don't know if there is, but y'all can definitely check it out. It's in clamps.
Oh, look at how cool that is.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm super excited. And there's walnut on either end, and that was a complete accident. I had to change the depth of my table saw, like midway through cutting the panel to final width, and I moved the fence over, and I thought that I hadn't done that, and when I raised the blade back up, I just went and cut it, and I cut it like 2 inches too short because of that. And then I was like, well, it's super unproportionate, so let's add walnut to either end after like an hour's worth of debating on whether or not we should just start over. And then it turned out like even better, so it was a very happy accident.
Yes, those are the best. Those happy accidents where you're like, oh, it just made it like 10 times, like,
yeah, it
blew my mind even more. So that's awesome.
I think we actually did an episode with Sawdust Junkies and talked about happy accidents like that.
Yes.
And it's
Me and
cool
her were just talking.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was just
about phonograms.
Yeah. Phonograms.
It was cool. We were able to build this entire chair out of like half of a sheet of plywood and a little bit of that walnut. But if you didn't do the walnut, I mean, you could do the whole project for probably $35 maybe. We're using some straps actually to connect from the top of the chair to the bottom of the chair to keep the back up. And what's cool about that is we're going to add these buckles in to where you can adjust it. So you'll be able to, on the fly, adjust how far the chair leans back or how forward it leans and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of cool. It's inspired by someone else's design. It's not our own design, but it turned out really cool, and it was fun modeling the legs because we used the CNC to do the whole project. So it was an interesting experience having to look at something on a computer and make sure it's proportionally correct, which was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. It's just hard to see, what the legs might look like once they're actually cut out. So
yeah. So I have a question for you. How did you learn all of the woodworking? That I've always wondered this. And how old are you?
Actually, I just turned 21 in July.
That's awesome.
Molly turned 21 today, so today's Molly's birthday.
Happy birthday, Molly!
Happy birthday!
No. Anyway, I just, I've been building stuff since I was probably 8 years old, and I've always been around tools. I've had access to your basic power tools. My dad did a lot of carpentry work when I was younger. Now he does it sort of as like a side big hobby thing. But so I had access to tools, and because of that, I was able to just start making like ramps and stuff like that for my bikes and skateboards. That turned into electronics, which I fell in love with all the way up through like my sophomore year in high school, and all I did was electronics. And then I decided to build this like portable Xbox, and I needed a case for it. And that's where I really sort of found woodworking as more of, prior to that I had done woodworking, but not like tried to make anything look nice. It was kind of just like construction type stuff. And I'd always help my dad out on construction stuff. But it was at that moment that sort of I needed a case, and then I sort of found the whole YouTube community based around woodworking. Started watching videos, specifically Jimmy DiResta, of course. I sort of fell in love with the finer side of woodworking and pretty much built my entire shop in like a year or a year and a half by just finding used tools on Craigslist and buying them, trying to make a project with them for like family members and anyone I could sell anything to, which was not very much money then, but it was enough to buy another tool. So, before we even started this YouTube thing or started trying to make, this a full-time job, before I ever even met Molly, I had obtained a decent amount of tools, at least enough to like get started like really well into the world. So that's sort of the backstory. Molly and I met, I I want to say the end of our sophomore year of high school. And so that was about the time that my shop was getting completed. And then towards the end of high school, so she wasn't really into the woodworking thing at all then. And then towards the end of high school, we started refinishing furniture. I was working for a local furniture shop, like part-time right out of high school. And I ended up quitting that, and we well, let me back up a little bit so I get this right. I always skip this part, but we refinished furniture for like 6 months or something. We like rented out this storage building that was like a part of a flea market and just bought as much furniture from garage sales and thrift stores and stuff like that. And we would refinish it for, maybe a specific purpose for a client, or just refinish it and try to sell it in the flea market. And it actually did kind of well. I wouldn't call it a business, but it did decently, to the point where we both kind of fell in love with, that sort of thing. We got really tired of just painting furniture, though, and decided to start making it. And, I quit my day job. She quit hers. And we, one day rented a 1,000 square foot shop and tried to make client work happen, and it just worked out for us, honestly. I mean, we were able to get a couple key people to take on big projects of ours. We launched our business through Facebook, and it has taken off ever since then. Now we've actually scaled back the client work because of the social media side of things. We've been able to make a living on that more so, but client work is still very prevalent, and we actually made it a full-time job for over a year, making
That's awesome.
Custom furniture and stuff like that.
You guys rock. That's great. That's so cool. Very cool. So other than the chair, are you working on anything else in the shop? And the lamp?
Yes. There's a lot of stuff that probably shouldn't talk about yet because we're working on. But I will tell you one thing that's cool that we're planning on doing soon, hopefully. Kind of working out the details right now, but we're going to build these awesome plywood couches with hairpin legs, working with a hairpin leg company. And if that works out, it's still in the works, so it's possibly not going to happen. But that's one of the things in the near future that seems like it's going to be a cool project. We are also, I'm gonna keep it a secret.
Keep it secret. You can keep it a secret.
Because we have several projects lined up for with the CNC that are just really cool. So I want to keep
Perfect.
It secret.
Keep it a secret, so then we're all surprised.
Yeah, you're gonna entice people to go over and see it anyway.
Yes.
If you tell them everything now, then where's the entice?
Seriously, and I want to build your bed, the bed that you guys made with the pegs.
Yes, that's my
awesome.
favorite project ever, and it didn't do that well. And
what?
It did well. Okay, it didn't do what I thought it would do. That project is one of the only projects that we've ever made, and we were absolutely going viral. There is no way this is not going viral, and it did so good, so good for the first day, and then all of a sudden the views just went to nothing. And so we got 20,000 views in I don't know, maybe 26 hours or something crazy, and then nothing. And I swear to you, to this day, it might be at 21 or 22, and we made that project months and months ago. So I have no idea what happened, but
that's crazy because it's super cool. I really like it.
It is by far probably one of my favorites, especially on YouTube, that we've done. It just turned out way better than expected, and it was so cheap to make. It's 4 sheets of plywood. Yeah, 4 sheets of plywood and some dowels and a couple 2x4s. And it's just it's a really stunning piece of furniture for such a cheap budget.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We recently made that round dining table with $300 in materials and tools, which was a really cool project for us to work on. A lot of us you hear this all the time, people saying we get it in our comment section a ridiculous amount of times, sure would be nice if I had all those tools, or I could make this project if I had all those tools, or we especially get the one where it's like, man, if I had that many of Daddy's tools, then I could build that too. Anyway, so that project honestly was mostly a stab back at those people, but more so, we made it.
I like it. A stab.
We made it. We made it there for people who like saw those comments and were discouraged to start. Like we didn't make it for those people at all. Like they're probably still never gonna make it or make anything. But no, it was really cool seeing what you could do with such little amount of money. And actually, you could do it for a lot less than $300. The reason why it was $300 was like half the budget was clamps, which is crazy. And if you were willing to like do some type of wedge system with a 2x4 or like some ratchet straps or something like that, then you could do it for a lot less. You could do it for probably $150 less. And so that was with materials, finish, everything, all the tools. So that was really cool. We just wrapped that giveaway up for that, and it went really, really well. So we're thinking about doing some more like super minimal tools projects as well.
Very nice. Very cool.
Dude, that's when you just turn around and you say, I know, right? Thanks, Dad.
Yeah,
No,
just in their face. Yeah.
My response always is to it that, maybe that was true like 3 years ago, but now my dad's the one asking me if he can use the tools. So we just got a saw stop, and I was joking with my dad the other day. It comes with like a key, a safety key, and I was like, oh look, I can just put this on my keychain and you can never use my table saw. You're gonna have to ask permission to use my table saw now. So that was
awesome.
pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, Samuel, what do you got going on?
We are just finishing the X base table. So we just put the 2 pieces on top of the X's because we wanted it, all of our tables and big pieces we want to be able to be broken down if they were to ever move or be easy to transport. So we needed a way to screw the top to the legs. So we just finished putting the tops on the X's. We finished the stretcher. We're finishing the desk with the pipe legs. All the pipe legs are painted. And then my big console too. So my navy blue console that I've been waiting, and my poor client has been so patient. So that's really nice of her. So coming up in the shop will be another, we're doing like a French armoire thing for bathroom, a couple tables, and then I'm actually going to be doing some like a curved table that goes on the back of an L-shaped couch. And I'm nervous because I've never done like lamination or any of that before. So that will be fun. That will be new. So you guys will see it in my stories coming up in the next month or so. We made that story where we had to do the curve on the outline of the SketchUp. So that was the start of our template. So we'll see how it goes. It will be fun.
Your schedule sounds hectic. You got a lot going on.
And it's all hectic because of our topic. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay. Well, tell Dylan what your Saturday is going to consist of.
Okay, so Dylan, a little background about me. I went to school for interior design, and I started my business about 2 years ago, and I still have my part-time job, which starts at 1. So I work in the mornings, and my grandpa and me work together. So he is amazing. He was an engineer for 40 years. He can fix a problem. He's great. He has every tool you could possibly think of. So I am still using grandpa's tools. But just because it's easy and we like working together. So it's actually really
awesome.
fun. And then I have my business, and me and my mom and my grandpa all do it together. And it's really fun. So half my business is woodworking and half is interior design. So I have a lot of interior design clients tomorrow. And then I have to make sure I'm in the shop because I have a deadline of October 31st for like 1 million pieces to finish. And then I have a TED Talks. I teamed up. I don't know if anyone knows. I'm sure you guys know who TED Talks is. I teamed up with TED Talks Tyson's here in Northern Virginia. And I'm their stage, in their stage design set person. So I do all of the stage design set for them, which isn't
that's awesome, man.
Which isn't much, but because they are very simple, but it's really cool. It's in it's called the Old Barns. So, and it's called Lessons Learned. So we built an easel and I made a chalkboard and we're putting, some lettering on that. And so that would be really fun. So that's my day. So I have to wake up really early tomorrow. And I will not be home until probably like 10:30. And then Sunday, I'll be in the shop all day.
So I'm crawling out of bed at like 8 o'clock to make pancakes.
I will already be at work. Yeah.
If you're someone who's thinking they want to start their own business, hear this, because this is what your life becomes. This is not like a once in a couple months thing. This is like once a week.
No, and for people that think, I work for myself, so I set my own schedule and
you don't.
Things. Just the last 2 days, right? So I've been off the last 2 days from work. I took some vacation from my day job, and I have it all planned. Like, all right, when I take off, I take the kids to school, just because they enjoyed me taking them to school every once in a while. And yesterday, it was like I took my son to school. I got home, and my wife was going to take my daughter to school, and she was like, "No, I want Daddy to take me. I want Daddy to take me." So I was like, "All right, now I got to drive back on the other side of town where I was already at to take her." I get home, realize that I forgot to give my son money for junior achievement. You guys know what junior achievement is? So it's like banking in elementary. So like a bank comes in and teaches them about finance and savings and stuff. And I forgot to send his money with him, so I had to take that back to the school. Right, so this is my third trip over on that side of town. Come back, so I'm getting ready to get started. My wife texts me, "Hey, let's go to lunch," because we don't ever get to go to lunch together. And so I get about an hour in the shop before I have to drive on the complete opposite side of town to go eat lunch with her. And in fact, we went and ate. If you guys watch the food truck road race on the Food Network, the food truck that won this season, like that ended a couple weeks ago, we went and ate at that food truck, and it's freaking amazing.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so like I get over there, the school calls and says my daughter dipped her dress in the toilet on accident, and she needed to change her clothes. Right, so now I have to go all the way back over there and come back, and so like this whole day is wasted. I had like 3 hours in the shop yesterday, and then things started playing out like that again today, and I was able to get more time out, but like it was, your schedule when you work for yourself is not like, you don't just be like dreams, I'm in the shop 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, like that's all I do. Like, no, it's not. You become like the go-to person because you can't afford to leave your shop a little bit to go get other things done. But if you're not careful, like an entire day is wasted. Like you have to manage your time.
And it's really easy to waste a day, especially if you have to make a trip to Home Depot and you're like, oh, I'm going to walk down the tool aisle. Oh, let's go check over there. And then like 45 to an hour passes and you're still looking and you're like, oh, well, maybe I should start getting the things I really came here for. So yeah, don't think it's like in the shop all the time. Like today, I went to like 7 stores looking for an area rug. So that was really fun. It probably took
I don't think I've
2
ever
hours,
walked
3 hours.
out of Home Depot without spending $100.
I know.
Ever. Like, I go there for, I honestly don't know, like 2x4s. And I'm like, oh, I need some sandpaper. I'll get some sandpaper. Well, I don't want to have to come back here for sandpaper later, so let's go ahead and get 1 pack of each grit. Oh, they're $20 a pack. Okay, so there is $60 or $80 in sandpaper. So yeah. Oh, and then we also need some rags. That's $20 too. So there's like every time I go to Home Depot, it's like that.
It adds up. It's nice because my mom's a nurse. So when like one of the boxes that goes to the OR gets a hole in it, you can't use it because it's then not sterile. So we get all those rags. So when you guys see me in the shop,
So,
I'm using all hospital stuff, so it's pretty funny.
I think
I got a bunch of those blue rags too.
Yeah.
Today was the less I've ever spent in Home Depot or Lowe's. I spent 98 cents.
Nice.
I
On
walked
like
in,
what?
pack
A
of gum?
washer?
a washer. No, I had to get a pack of 5 paint filters for my HVLP, so I can get out and spray finish tomorrow.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, 98
Also,
cents.
Here's another little rant. How come I think Home Depot and Lowe's coordinate with each other? They each have something the other doesn't, and they're always like things that go together. So you're like, you have to go to, and I think that's why they put them right next to each other. Because like every time I go to Home Depot, I'm like, oh wait, Home Depot doesn't sell the good kind of rags. They sell like the kind that are like fray all the time and get stuff in your finish. I have to go to Lowe's to get those, and like there's always little stuff like that always happens to me.
I agree with you completely, and it's so annoying. You're like, oh, now I have to go to 2. So there's another hour in your day spent out in going to another store.
Wow.
This could be a whole nother topic.
See, I mean, look at this. We're already getting off track.
I know.
Well, let me wrap up mine real quick. So anyway, I finally got the bandsaw blade in that I talked about, I think, last week or the week before. And by the way, if you need a bandsaw blade, I highly recommend go to Carter's. I talked to Alex Snodgrass, and he kind of put me on track with his recommendation on a blade. Right, so I called Carter's, ordered my blade. Overnight they made the 70.5-inch blade for me, and they called me. This was last Thursday. They called me last Friday, and they said, we're having a problem processing your card. Y'all heard me talk about my card getting hijacked last week. Tuesday morning, my blade shows up at my door with a note that says, just call us when you can pay. So they sent my blade knowing that, like, hey, he'll pay. We're not worried about it. It was a $35 blade, and like I was able to get it on. I got it on. I tested it. I called him. I was like, hey, here's my credit card information. I got it in. Like, this thing is super awesome. And I think I finished cutting all my cutting boards out today in a matter of like an hour. I think I went through like 4 cutting boards in an hour. And so I finally got like the cutting board that's supposed to go to I think Ellie Johnson's the one that is getting mine. So I got that one all cut out. In fact, I actually got an inlay on it. I did a router inlay, and it's pretty awesome. You guys I'll have to send y'all a picture of it later.
Did you do? Was it you that did the heart inlay on one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram today.
Yeah. So I haven't really posted like a full on shot of it, but it's I was kind of dumbfounded of like, hey, what should I like do for a cutting board that I'm sending off that's not just like a plain cutting board, right? So I did it in the shape of a Texas, and it's pretty good. It's probably 12 inches by 12 inches. And then I did the heart inlay like right around the Houston area, the Houston Galveston area. And so it's going to be, Hurricane Harvey relief cutting board. So I got that done, and then I had like a little bit of extra time. Oh yeah, I sucked up the little safety switch for my sander, and I had to tear apart my dust collector bag for my shop vac. Home Depot's the only one that sells those bags, which is 30 minutes away. So I was like, well, what can I do without like a dust collector? And so I just like started tearing apart a like license plate dustpan that my grandfather made probably 20 years ago, and making templates out of all of it, because I have probably 20 license plates, and I'm going to make just a whole bunch of fireplace dustpans for like ashes. So I was like, had some time, so I started doing that today. I got probably all the templates made, and between projects I'll start working on getting those all assembled and stuff. So
that's awesome.
been pretty busy. So, what about you, Drew?
Well, y'all all sound more busy than I do. Crap.
Well, I mean, you did just like refloor an entire house.
I know.
Yeah, I'm taking a vacation.
You should. You deserve one.
Let's just see. I'm basically I finished the loft bed plans that I posted on Instagram here pretty recently.
I saw those.
Those are pretty nice.
Yeah, the client's very happy with the way it looks. It's going to have a little desk underneath that'll be the same height as the chest of drawers that'll be on the side. It's also going to be reversible, so if you need the chest of drawers on one side, you just swap the stretcher or the connecting stretcher from the legs to the chest of drawers. You just bring that to the other end and then swap the desk around. So that way it can be a two-sided bed and go in any direction that she needs.
What? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's going to have little mounting holes for some bed bolts to go through the posts. So that took a little bit of figuring out to see if I could make it reversible. And then I've got two more contracts that I'm nailing down right now. One with McBride Orthopedics, where I'm working right now. They need me to make a bunch of standing boxes. Just simple little standing boxes. They're only 6 inches tall, probably about 17 by 24 footprint. And I'm charging like $250 a piece for them. And they're like
250 piece?
Yeah.
Nice.
And they're just something simple. But it's medical. So you look up that crap on the internet for some like a medical standing box.
They're expensive.
Yeah, you're gonna pay like $300 or more.
Yeah.
So I'm giving a little deal, but little deal. And then I've got that bookcase chair. I've got to get that contract to her to sign, but she said that she's ready to sign it, so I'm stoked about it. So I got about 3 contracts that are underway. Actually 4, because I signed one the other day for the monogram 3D letters, the puzzle letters. She sent that back to me pretty recently, so I got to get started on those.
That's awesome. And you all got my contract.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually real similar to what I've been using.
It's just so simple, and now we're going to start adding in like a ton of stuff. But I don't want to like scare people away. So the main things are a couple of things. Yeah. Which we can get into in the topic.
I did have to go tell Mama Susan that Sam wouldn't play nice with us and send us her work, so...
I know, and she was laughing because it's all on her computer. Like, she is my accountant, my assistant, my mom, my best friend, like everything. She's everything in one. So
pay her?
I do. I buy her things that she wants. Same with my grandpa. My grandpa gets paid.
Minimum wage, I bet.
Yeah. No, actually, he gets paid not too bad, but. He's always like, he doesn't need it. So he's like, oh, what tool can we buy with like this money? So I'm like, oh, nice. Like, I'm paying you. You're going to buy a new tool. It's like a win-win. Like, that's perfect. Yeah. So if you ever need paperwork from me, contact my mom.
And then wait a week.
Yeah. And you have to remember, she's also a nurse. And we all... Yeah.
I contacted her. I waited a day. I contacted Sam. I waited a week.
You did not wait a week. You waited like 4 days. It was like that day I was crying to you guys. And then I was like, I'll send it to you.
How long did you wait for the stickers, though, Jeremy?
Okay. You know what? We're moving on. And we're going to go into our topic.
September 25th is when she postmarked them. Pretty sure she was on the podcast for a couple months.
I think she's flipping us off.
Wow. Mommies and daddies, don't let your kids come see this.
She has something in her eye.
Yeah.
The other eye now.
Yeah, the other eye.
Someone, like, jokingly the other day was like, read between the lines. I was like, what? Boy Scouts? And he was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't understand it at first. That was really funny. But let's get into the topic because you guys are going to keep making fun of me. So our topic is, we're going to talk about some tips for communicating with your clients or potential clients and how to cover your butt when the conversations aren't remembered, which is something I recently just went through, which I've never gone through ever before. So this will be a really good topic to talk to you guys all about, and so that you make sure that nothing happens to, you. So who wants to start off?
Well, why don't you start off by telling us what this situation was, and then we can go from there. Yeah. So the way that Samurai Designs does their custom work is when you have a contract in and signed with a deposit, I always ask for 50% down. That guarantees you a spot in line. And right now we are kind of backed up. They're custom pieces. They take a little longer. It's just me and my grandpa. I also have another job for the time being. So we are scheduling out, and we always overshoot because you much rather finish it or way early than be like, oh, it's going to take me, 2 weeks to finish, and it really takes you 8, especially when you have another job. So always give yourself extra time. But I had 3 contracts go in with about a month apart, maybe 2 weeks. One contract went in May, one went in April, one went in May, and one went in June. And my 2 April and May were decent size contracts, and they put their deposit in. So the table went first, which I just finished. It's delivered, done. The console was the next in line, my navy blue console, which I've been dying to build because I've built a lot of tables recently. And then my big contract, which was a client I had done a ton of work for prior to this contract. A horrible event happened where their house did burn down. So all of the 5 or 6 pieces I built previously, there was some built-ins, a big desk, and some other furniture, all got ruined. So I met with them, they signed their contract, put their deposit in, and normally I put on my contracts, this is when I'm going to start, this is how long it's going to take. But because they were kind of coming in and they were good clients, I said, I'll work on yours simultaneously as I'm working on a couple other projects, definitely like your headboard and your barn door. I can get those done pretty quickly. They're easy. I'll just get them finished. And then after that, after I finish the people I have ahead of you, then I will get into your bigger stuff. And they were fine with it. They said, okay, great. Well, all of a sudden, one Sunday night, I was getting ready to email them and say, hey, your barn door is ready. I'll drop it off so your contractors can install it. And he beat me to the punch with emailing and said, hey, I just wanted to see what day you're going to deliver between the 15th and the 24th, all of my stuff. That includes a huge headboard, a huge barn door, which was 52 inches by 8 feet, a big table, a big T-shaped desk. It's not a little tiny desk. It's a big T-shaped desk. It's 120 inches or 140 inches long on the top, and then the T that comes down is 96, and it has pipe leggings. And then 2 big built-ins next to the fireplace, and they're semi-built-ins, so we build them in our shop, and then we fit them with molding and stuff once we get there. And then our measurements are pretty accurate. We have to get our measurements pretty accurate. And then upstairs, there was also more built-ins. Well, since their house burned down, they didn't have any drywall, and they were just telling me that the drywall had just been put up, and that I have 15 days to complete all of the built-ins and have everything delivered. So I didn't cover my butt with putting it on the contract. I just verbally told them this is the way it's going to go because that's just how it is. And it ended up biting me in the butt. So long story short, that's what happened. So Jeremy and Drew got the brunt of it because I complained and complained and complained and complained and cried a little to them.
I didn't cry. Well, maybe. I was getting really mad. So, and I am, if you meet me, I'm super nice and friendly and don't like confrontation. And I ended up having a confrontation with a client, which is very outside of how I do business. So, and I kept it professional, but just we're going to go over some tips so you don't get yourself in the bind that I got myself into. So, yes. So now on my contracts, we always put the date. That's one thing that the date of when we're going to start it. And we always contact that person. Hey, we got your stuff. We're getting ready to start. Then we send them progress pictures throughout the whole thing. We talk to them, we update them. I send them pictures. All of my clients mostly follow me on social media so they can watch my stories and see how their stuff is doing in the shop. And we do go over the stain color if we need to stain it. And then at the bottom, I do, some people I don't do this to, but some people I do. I will at the bottom say your deposit will be forfeited if you cancel the project once I started building. Because then by that time, I already have the piece kind of built and I can't return the lumber. And then I don't know when I'm going to sell it. So that's one thing that I do put on my contract, that it will be forfeited. And obviously, if it's a big chunk of money, I'll tend to work with them. But yeah, so that's on there for sure, because I've had something like that kind of happen. So yeah. So
well, that's definitely one thing that I always have in my contracts as well. Is and it's in their estimate when they get it, so it is upfront from the moment of first official contact, which is, hey, here's your estimate going out to you, and it says in there a 50% deposit is required, not a $200 to cover materials, and this will get more into our next episode when we talk about it, but it is always 50%, because you always have some labor involved in it,
just in case
exactly. But mine's not when I start the project. Mine tells them your 50% deposit will be forfeited when materials are purchased. And like you, I always send an email, hey, I'm purchasing your materials, for the pure fact of I usually get materials, I try to get them 2 weeks in advance of the project. That way they have time to sit and acclimate a little bit. And at that point, if they want to cancel, I've already purchased all your materials for it. Could I use those materials on a project? Yes. Could I use them somewhere else? Absolutely. Could I even return them? But it's not on me to do the legwork to figure out what to do with those materials, because they were purchased based off of a contract. Now,
and I think ours does state once the contract is signed, you forfeit your deposit. I mean, and that's a huge thing, because sorry to interrupt you, but also you going out and buying the materials is also your time and labor as well. So
I don't allow any cancellations. Once you sign a contract with me, I get half up front, like y'all say, as a deposit, but I also don't allow cancellations at all. Like, I will get the full amount no matter what happens, because if you're halfway through a project, for a lot of what I do, like if it's a giant project, that may make sense, that like if they're halfway through and 50% might cover you, but on small stuff where your margins are really low, like when you're trying to be in, especially if you're in a competitive market where you're making dining tables for you're trying to make a dining table in 2 days and you're not charging very much, 50% is not going to cover your time already used up. And you might be able to sell the table, but from my experience, selling a table already built will sell for half the price of selling a table that's custom made. So, and it's really hard to sell, at least in my area, something already made. So I never allow cancellations. I have that in our contract. We don't really call it a contract, but when I send an invoice to somebody, I've got a disclaimer at the bottom that says, when you sign this invoice and send us the 50%, this is the terms. And in those terms, the biggest one that I have in there that has come back to bite me in the butt, and I'm glad I had it in there, was that we aren't responsible for differences in colors and your end project. If there's any sort of wood movement, we are not responsible for anything, along those lines. Because what happens is like, you go get a piece of plywood and you put a stain color on it, especially plywood, and you put a stain color on it and show them a sample, like a small piece, and then they've got like a massive piece with that plywood on there. There's so many variables, including just like what section of veneer that plywood had, the next sheet that you buy, that your color will be different. And like when you start staining like construction grade pine, a lot of times it's really like varies in color. So that's the biggest thing I have in my contracts. But yeah, I don't allow any cancellations for that reason, because
I like that, because I'm now going to put that cancellation thing in there, because, and I failed to mention, my client it was a $16,000 contract with him. And he just really thought that because he's spending that much money, he could jump the line. And I treat all my clients the same, and I did push some of their pieces up, but we ended up having 2 separate contracts for built-ins and then for furniture. I put the built-in separately because this time we weren't going to install them. They were going to have their contractors install. And we ended up canceling that. So if I had that in there, like you guys have it in there, it was his choice to cancel because I couldn't finish 4 built-ins when the drywall wasn't even finished or up. How am I going to get measurements? I couldn't finish it in 15 days. So I think that cancellation thing is great. I never had a client do that to me before, but never say never, because, it can happen. And definitely I did leave out, we do the expansion and contraction and the colors, because if you go back on my Instagram, we just did a huge dining room table, and the lady was an awesome client. She was great. But we did take about a month to pick a stain. And it was because, it was different on the wood, and she just couldn't see it on a bigger scale. And you can't be buying a ton of boards and doing the same stain on like full length boards. I mean, if she wants, to buy them, you can do that. But I think that's also like a huge thing to put in there, with the stain and stuff, because you're right. It does change, it's super easy to change. And sometimes your stain is darker. Like I had a dark walnut that was way darker than my other dark walnut. So you just really kind of don't know. And
one tip I have for that is I have plywood samples. I tend to get, I guess, the most clear finish, I guess. Like the most consistent, I think, is through plywood. So I have like samples made that are like 12 by 12 squares, and I send that home with a client, and we have like 15. Every time we use a new color, we just make a thing, a little panel, and I send that home with the client, and they take it into their house and look at it in their light, because the light in our shop is like 50-200 on the Kelvin scale, and in your home it's more like 2800, I think it is, or something.
A lot under 30 to 3500 usually. It's just that soft white light category.
So when you look at it in our shop, it looks totally different than when you look at it in your dark dining room or whatever. So that's a big thing. Also, one thing I put in the contract, which may sound dumb, but I would highly recommend doing it, especially if you're building dining tables. Put in there, this table is not meant for outdoor use. because I've had so many people, like, we built tables for them. They're like, oh, this is going to be this is after I've built it. They're like, oh, this is going to be awesome on the back patio. And I'm like, no, it's not going to be awesome on the back patio. We built you something for your dining table. Like, yeah, but we love it so much. We want to put it on the back patio so everyone can enjoy it. I'm like, can't do that. It's not the way that works.
Enjoy it this year.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. And even like, if you ever take a job to build an outdoor anything, throw as many disclaimers as possible into that, because nothing outdoors is going to last. You need to put in there, like, if you're using like spar urethane, put in there like, you're responsible for putting more coats of spar urethane on, because this stuff is going to degrade with sunlight. Like every 6 months, every year, you're going to need to keep this up. And it's probably going to move and expand and contract in some way. So be ready for it. We're not responsible for any of that.
I think that's awesome. I never even thought, I haven't done anything outdoors. I've done a couple of benches, but they actually wanted them to get really gross, which is fine.
But take it down the street for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I think that's also with the plywood samples that you did say. I did the same thing. I do the same thing. They are bigger, not 12 by 12, but when my client does pick something, I normally use a cutoff of their piece, and then I put whatever stain they saw, and then I send them home with a couple of different choices. Being an interior designer as well, no matter what, the color is going to look different, because, you know, your walls could be one color and it could pick up on this and that. So definitely encourage your client to take the samples home to really see, because it could be really dark. It could, you know, the natural sun could come in and hit it just right and make it lighter. And I always tell my client, look at it in the morning, look at it the afternoon, and look at it in the evening. Go back and look multiple times. So
I'll tell y'all my terrible client story, which surprisingly, we really only have one that was like really bad. And it was
this is mine too.
And I'm going to talk a little bit later about like reading clients, because I think that's like the most important thing. And we failed. Well, we didn't fail to do it. We just failed to listen to our better judgment on this one, because the money was speaking to us. So we had a client call us like a week prior to when she wanted something done. She wanted this like massive, and it wasn't even like necessary for it to be done in a week. Like not even all. It was a cabinet that was designed to hold her art supplies, and I don't know why it was so. She's retired. Like there's no reason for her to have it in a week. But she calls. She's like, I need this done. When can you have it done? And I'm like, oh yeah, we're backed up for like 4 months or something like that at the time. It was crazy at the time. And she's like, oh, I need this in like a week. And I'm like, sorry, we can't do that. And she's like, yeah, I'm having a hard time finding one that can do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the way that works. And so I like met her at some furniture store. She's like, let me just show you what I want. Maybe we can talk about doing it on a different time frame. So I met her at a furniture store, and she's like, I like this, 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 and this. And of course it's like that beach style finish that's like hand rubbed wax and like different like shades of everything in it. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna do that. Like there's no way I'm gonna make that look the way you want it. Anyway, she's like, just give me a price on it. Give me a price for what it would cost for me to have it done in a week. So we tripled the price that we would normally charge, just trying to get her to like go away, basically. I think
she probably took it.
I think we charged $3,800 or $4,000 for like a console that was like 48 inches long and like 36 inches tall and 12 inches deep. Like
Is it on your Instagram?
No. I'll get to the reason why here in a bit.
I'd say it's coming.
So we like this is when the contract thing really started, because I read this client and I was like, she is going to be so picky This is going to have to be perfect. Let me explain to you what she told me when we went to her house for the consultation. She goes, here's the opening I want this to be in. I want it to be an 1/8 of an inch gap on either side to the walls. An 1/8 of an inch. No more, no less. I want it to be about this tall. How tall do you think that is? I'm like, I pulled my tape measure out and pulled it up. She's like, yeah, no, let's go down 1/4 of an inch. So I'm at like a number that's like 36 and 54 sixteenths. Like, it's just like a ridiculous, weird number that didn't make any sense. I'm like marking. Molly is over here with a notebook, and it's got like a full notebook of requests for this thing to be exact. Okay. So, needless to say, it wasn't. We should have been like, no, absolutely not. Anyway, we decided to take it because that was a lot of money for us back then. This is kind of when we first got started, and so we started doing this thing, and she just shows up at our shop like the second day, like just shows up to the place and just like walks in the front door like it was not open to the public at all. Like we had rented a building that was like a commercial space, but there was no like, hey, come in, this is Woodbrew's shop sort of sign. It was just a metal building. And we're in this shop, like, cursing away that we're having to do this. And she walks in the door and's like, hello, how's it going, guys? Just checking in on the progress of this thing. And I'm like, are you serious? Can we cancel this now, please? Like, right now. Anyway, so, like, 3 days go by. We sort of get the project complete. And then she calls me. And she's like, I want to go back over the color choice, make sure we get it right. So we go back to that furniture store again. She insisted that we go to this particular furniture store. Go there. She shows me what she wants. I make a sample. She agrees to the sample. She's like, okay, this is perfect. And then she's like, you know what though? I think it would be better if the top was a different color than the base. And I'm like, no, we really don't need to do that. There's a lot going on already. Like, don't do that. It'll just make it even more busy. There's a lot going on in this project. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're probably right. Let's not do that. So another 2 days goes by. It's delivery day. This thing is heavy as all get out because it's got like adjustable shelves in it and like these like pull out like 2-inch wide like desk pieces at the top. So right up below the top surface, there was these like things on drawer slides that were just like you pull them out and you could set stuff on them. Anyway, so it was really heavy. And we get to her house, and I like hired a couple of my buddies to help me move this thing. And she's got this staircase that is like, it goes up and then around a corner, and it's the smallest staircase in history that she wants this thing to go up. And she hasn't moved anything in her house. Nothing.
That's the
nothing.
worst.
There is stuff everywhere. And she shows up, and I've got like this dinky old trailer that I have that I'm carrying this stuff around. She goes something like, is that trailer gonna fall apart? Are y'all sure y'all should be driving with that? I'm like, are you serious right now? Then Molly, like, she just like insulted us in so many different ways before we ever even walked in the house, and it was ridiculous. So I got my buddies and like, we're putting this upstairs and we're leaving as soon as possible. Like let's get upstairs and go. We bring it inside, and she is like, this space is barely big enough for one of us to be in, and it takes like 3 of us to carry this thing. She's like in between us, going in and out. I'm like, no, you should go this way. You should go that way. You should do this. You should do this. And I just like set it down, and I was like, look, I hired these people. They're going to get it in your house. Don't worry about it. If something happens, we'll take care of it. Just please do my best not to like get angry. This is the first time I've ever had like a moment like you said that I was like, went out of like the way we do business. And I was like, you've got to just step back and let me handle this because this is ridiculous. And so of course we bring it right upstairs. It's fine. Works perfectly. And she goes to Molly, she goes, oh, oh, you guys messed up. There was supposed to be a dark brown top. It was supposed to be, the color of the top was supposed to be different than the bottom of the base. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Here's the email I sent you with the photograph of the SketchUp model that shows you exactly what it is, and the invoice that I always put the photo of what it is we're doing. Like if we have a SketchUp model on the invoice, so that it's like all connected. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is what you wanted. This is what we agreed on. We finally escaped that house after having to put her art stuff into the cabinet for her. We leave the house. She calls me the next day and she goes, one of the hardware on the drawer pulls is different than from the rest. I had grabbed a handful of the same hardware from Home Depot. Just so happens somebody put in one that's almost identical in there. And I then had to go back to her house, which was like the most terrifying thing ever. And of course, I go up there to put the thing on, and she's like, this door, it's not closing right. It's touching a little at the top. I had to shave off the top of the door, put new finish on it. Needless to say, after all that. All
right, this has been an awesome episode so far. However, there's a ton of more awesome information from Dylan. So we're going to go ahead and cut off the episode right here. And next week, we will pick up where we left off. So this will be part A. Next week will be part B. So Drew, go ahead and give us the contact info and we will get out of here.
All right. Well, before we sign off, Dylan, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure having you on. A lot of great information that you had to share, and some great insight from all three of us towards some of the things that you had to share as well. So before we sign off, for those of you that have not had the pleasure of seeing Dylan's Instagram or YouTube, how do they go about finding you and basically following you?
So on Instagram, we're just Woodbrew_. Also on Instagram, if you're interested in like the outdoors and exploring and like the van side of things that we're doing, you can check out Woodbrew Life. We're doing a lot of cool stuff over there, and that's about to pick up in the next couple months. So we do all kinds of hikes and trips and all kinds of cool stuff there. And then on YouTube, just search Woodbrew. You'll be able to find us. And yeah, we make all kinds of cool projects over there, some of which are minimal tools, some of which are using CNCs, and we just kind of mix it up. We kind of have a modern style. Especially go check it out if you like fast-paced videos. We don't usually do voiceovers and that sort of stuff. We kind of do like sort of a more of cinematic style video. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, go check it out and subscribe.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been a subscriber of Woodbrew for about year and a half, 2 years now, I think.
I think we're about a year and a half old, so you've been there
from
the beginning.
I was about to say, about a year and a half, because I found you guys pretty soon. All right, so for you guys that want to get in contact with us, Sam, go ahead and share your contact info real quick.
You guys can find me at samryandesigns.com. There I have my social media links. I'm most prevalent on Instagram. I haven't gotten into the YouTube thing yet, but some new stuff is coming. So yep, you can find me at samryan_designs and email me there too. And I'll get back to you super fast.
From now.
No, her mother's really good about it. Really good.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, what about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me over on my website, countrysideworkshop.com. There you'll have links to just about any outlet you can reach me at. If you want the quickest one, find me on Instagram, Countryside Workshop. I feel like I'm on that the least every day. I feel like I'm on Facebook a little bit more. However, I'm quicker to respond to things, and I spend more dedicated time on Instagram. So definitely look me up over there. Follow me, give me a shout. Interested to talk to just about anybody that has something cool to say.
I know Instagram, it's almost like I have to work it into my schedule just to be able to post stuff on there. It's like, oh, my alarm went off. I got an Instagram real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
That is
well,
very tough.
If you guys want to get in contact with myself, it's rhwoodshop.com. I have links to all of my social media contacts as well as a contact section for direct email to myself. And if you send any emails to us in particular, be sure and check back in on the podcast as well, because some of your questions, kickback, insight is usually brought to the show as well. And all three of us kind of get our kicks from kind of giving our opinions on what it is that you guys are asking about. If you want to get in contact with all three of us at the same time, not including the guest host that we might have on at the time, you can send us a voicemail, 409-234-3959. You can also do the voice memo app on your cell phone and send us through email to kickback@woodshop101podcast.com, or just type us out a simple email. Anything that you guys send us, we love to show on the show, whether it be in type format or in audio. So we want to thank you guys very much that sent us the voicemails on the last show. Feel free to do it again so we can feature some more interesting topics. So that pretty much wraps it up. Dylan, I know that you've probably heard our show before, and if you haven't, we tend to do a sign-off for just about everybody, including the way that I do it on my videos.
Oh, goodness.
So you kind of get your opportunity now.
Don't let us down.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a lot of energy, but we're going to give you crap if you don't. But,
all right, I got one. All right.
So,
actually, no, I don't. Let's see here. All right, guys, thank you so much to listening to Woodbrew's podcast. You can check out all of Woodbrew's stuff at Woodbrew Anything, and we'll see you guys next week. Or listen to you guys next week.
Listen. All right. Well, that we'll just have to play that on a do a blooper or something, Jeremy, will you?
Yeah.
That's
messing
awesome.
with you guys. I don't know what a good sign off would be.
Don't worry. I didn't know the first time either. And I was like really bad. You just have to just do
What episode
this
was it?
one thing.
Okay.
Episode, like I'm just started this.
It's
not too
multiple
long ago.
episodes.
Episode
not
like
the best.
77 through 103.
Yeah, I'm like the worst at it. But
No, we
need
basically
to
just
tell
give
him,
everybody
yeah.
a great big boom at the end. So whenever I give you the cue, let's just boom everybody away. Listen to him, he's like,
And you have to go like this.
That's just
Dang it.
crap.
I thought I was having to say something
Enthusiastic.
that was goofy or funny. I took that the wrong direction.
I don't know. But
No,
you-
but it's great. It's great.
You did come up with something on the fly, though. That was pretty good.
Yeah. I would have been like, great job, guys.
Cut.
Look, she already tried to do high fives and it wouldn't work.
It didn't work.
High fives.
That's
didn't work.
internet. It's internet lag.
Yeah.
From Dylan, Sam, Jeremy, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shop. We will talk to you guys on the next podcast episode. So 1, 2, 3. Boom!